Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kyle Carroll from MyMMAnews.com with Carroll's Corner MMA podcast. I'm here with Z Lau, who's fighting on Cage Wars 36. I believe you're the main event against Adam Barrett, fighting for the Bantamweight title. Tell us a little bit about your fight.
Yeah, we're the main event. We're gonna put on a great show for all the fans coming out. Tickets are sold out. So if you missed it, you're gonna miss a good one here.
Well, good thing being that it's sold out, it's also being aired live on Fight TV app. So if anyone wants to watch it, they could download it and watch it for free there. But you're fighting Adam Barrett. You're moving up a weight class. Normally you fight at flyweight. You're fighting at bantamweight. Tell us a little bit about moving up a weight class.
That's correct. Yeah, I am moving up. Um, I typically fight at 125. I've even gone as low as 120 before, and I'm pretty sure I can make 115. But I wanted to challenge myself. I know that Adam Barrett is a hometown fighter. I saw his last fight at Cage Wars 35. I was pretty impressed. It was a good fight. A little bit controversial decision, but it was an exciting fight, and I asked for the fight with him after seeing that. So here we are.
Awesome. And you're currently ranked. I do a bunch of rankings for New York State. You're ranked number one at flyweight and I believe at bantamweight. Um, does going in knowing that you already have a flyweight title, does that add any pressure that you're trying to get a second one?
Not really because I'm the one that's moving up. He's the one that's defending the title. So really, all the pressure's off me. I'm the guy that's coming from out of town. He's a hometown guy. He's the one that's going to have his fans there. So I think the pressure's on him.
Awesome. And you guys train at AST, which I believe is in Toronto, correct?
Yep, that's
And
correct. I trained with Greg, who you did an interview with already. Yeah, we got a good team out there. A great bunch of guys that are really helping us get prepared.
well, what makes AST so special? You guys have a bunch of tough fighters coming down. You guys come down to Cage Wars pretty often. What makes you that gym special?
I think what really sets us apart is our base martial art, which is sanda. You know, all these guys do boxing and Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, but our base is sanda. We do Jiu-Jitsu as well, but our all of our roots come from sanda. Are you familiar with sanda or
No,
sancho?
I was actually going to ask you to explain a little bit more because I'm not too familiar with
So
it.
it's it's basically mixed martial arts without the grappling aspect. So
Okay,
there are punches, kicks, knees, and throws and takedowns as well. But as soon as you hit the mat, the ref stops the fight and they stand you up and
interesting.
you continue from there.
Awesome. So that's pretty interesting aspect. Now, you're fighting Adam Barrett. What can you expect from him? And he mentioned in his interview, your style of striking and kicking, he believes will bring out the best in him. What do you expect from him, and what presents a challenge for you?
I guess he's pretty, he's pretty good at getting punched in the face and taking naps. Then if I'm gonna bring out the best in him, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, Adam's seems like a great guy, and he's very well rounded. But what I'm most impressed with him and watching his fights is that he can face adversity and can come back and still win the fight. So that's something I got to really be careful about. And that's what's really going to make this fight exciting. The tables can turn either way at any moment in the fight.
Awesome. And so, like we mentioned, you're moving up in weight class to fight. Um, is there? You mentioned going into you guys are traveling, coming down from Canada. Do you feel any
Yeah.
pressure or anxiety when you're fighting in front of such a loud home crowd, or does it really not bother you?
There's always pressure and there's always nerves coming into a fight. But I've been fighting out of town, fighting hometown guys since the beginning of my career. Like you mentioned, we come down to Albany a lot. We're in the states a lot, and we got a good crew coming down with us this time. But otherwise, I feel comfortable in front of a hometown crowd. I like to fight. I like to fight guys in their hometown.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit about how you got into mixed martial arts and MMA, and what uh what what kind of drove you to really get in and start fighting.
Yeah, well, personally, I started fighting as a way of testing myself and testing my skills. And that's how it kind of started. But now it's really, I would say now it's really to promote the gym. It's motivate all the fighters that we have that are coming up. We got a lot of good guys that are looking to get into MMA and debut. Um, but I'm also really, really motivated to fight because of kind of the reaction I get from the crowd. And, you know, I know I'm by no means like a celebrity or anything. I'm operating at a much smaller scale, but at my one of my recent fights where I scored a pretty nice knockout, I had people come up to me and thank me for taking that fight and telling me that they've never experienced anything like that in their life. And words just can't describe the feeling that you get when somebody tells you that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool when get compliments like that from the fans and stuff because they're paying a pretty good penny to watch all the fighters fight. And whenever you
Yeah,
guys
I
put on a
want
good
to give them
show,
their money's worth. I want to put on a good show.
definitely. So, now I see you also do some coaching and training as well. How has that aspect helped you fight inside the cage?
Yeah, I got to lead by example. We got, like I mentioned, we got a lot of good guys coming up, and it helps me just through coaching. Like I'm able to, break down opponents a little bit better. I'm able to, try to figure out where I can be strong in the fight and where I can take it to, have my best chance of winning.
Awesome. And now, as we all know, combat sports, like a lot of people say, 90% mental, 10% physical. How is the mental part of the game a challenge for you or an asset for you? How does it affect you?
I think it's definitely a challenge because I always perform better in the gym than I do in the cage, and I think that just comes with experience. It's just getting your reps in, getting as many fights as often as possible, and just getting used to that feeling of being in the cage and being in front of a crowd, fighting someone you've never sparred with before. It's just getting that experience in.
Awesome. And as for mentioned, I stated that you're ranked number one in the weight class. What is next for you? And you don't get there just by winning one or two fights. You have a few fights under your belt as an amateur, and you now you have a couple belts around your waist. What do you want to do in the future? Do you want to go pro? What's the timetable for that?
Yeah, I'm taking it one fight at a time, but I think it's about time for me to make that jump. A lot of people have been pushing me to tell me, that I'm ready for a professional fight. I was actually supposed to fight as a professional last year in October, but kind of fell through. The opponent got injured. So I decided to take a few more amateur fights. But one fight at a time, and I think eventually I will make that jump.
Awesome. Now, do you have a manager or coach that helps you guys arrange that stuff, or is it you doing that? How do you guys set up your
Yeah.
fights?
I've been managing myself and a lot of the fighters from our gyms, keeping contacts with great promoters like Tim. Um, Coaching wise, I did a lot of the running my own camp, but for this camp, I really got to thank Kyle Pindar and Seiji Sujiman Marangos. Uh, those two guys really went out of their way for this camp and really helped me a lot. Um, of course, Professor Costa, Sabir, and Jim always supporting me in everything that I do.
Awesome. Now, do you guys have a pretty strong support system from your family or sponsorships for the gym?
Yeah, yeah. I got a few sponsors. Shout out to Dynasty MMA. Check out their website, dynastyclothingstore.com. Under the Gi Apparel Clothing, their website's underthegi.ca. And MSK Clinic, they always take care of me. If you're in the Toronto area, you get hurt, check them out. Some of the best professionals in the business.
Awesome. Yeah, that's always good to have good recovery just as well as preparation. Now, tell me a little bit about your training and your routine leading up to this fight. We're just under 2 weeks away from April 7th. Take me
Yeah,
through the last couple weeks.
yeah. We're just polishing everything up right now. We're tapering off. We're going like a little harder training, but tapering in with the volume, so we're not as likely to get injured. This week's going to be a good week. It's we started off good. It's Wednesday. Tonight's sparring night. It's going to be, um, you know, kind of our last hard session,
Hmm.
and then we'll have a few other sessions to kind of make sure everything's sharp.
Awesome. Now, obviously, you're going up in weight, so you're not cutting really. But when you mentioned earlier, you could get down to 120, 115 if you had to.
Yep.
What's your diet like that you're able to cut weight so well?
Yeah, it's just really staying disciplined. You know, I'm not a big flyweight. Like I mentioned, I can get down to 115. I think when I fought at 120, I weighed in at 119, and it wasn't too difficult. With this camp, getting to eat a lot more, but still staying disciplined and putting the weight on the right way.
Did you add weightlifting to your regiment this camp to beef up a little?
Yeah, I definitely, I strength train even when I'm fighting at the lighter weight classes. I feel pretty strong at those weights, but it was definitely a bit more of a priority for this camp to be able to match the strength of a bantamweight.
Awesome. Now, are you a big like UFC fan, Bellator fan? Do you watch the sport when you're not participating? And if so, what fighters do you follow?
Yeah, I do watch. I occasionally follow. It's getting tough now with all the events that are going
Hmm.
on. You got something every weekend, and it's just you only got 24 hours in a day, and it's tough
True.
to keep up with it, right? But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do have a lot of guys that I watch and I follow. If you're familiar with Zabit, he just broke into the UFC. He has a couple wins under his record. He's doing really well. He actually trains the same discipline that I train, and he's from the same school. My coach is from back in Russia. Muslim Salahov. He just debuted in UFC. He lost his first fight, but he's gonna come back strong. And those guys are guys I really look up to and I really watch.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always cool when you know people or people from your area and they make it to the UFC or Bellator, whatever big promotion it may be.
Mhm.
Now, tell us what I guess you do in your free time when you're not training, coaching, managing. What are you doing for fun?
Well, I'm not sitting around watching Game of Thrones if that's what you're asking. I'm just kidding, but yeah, I just like I said, not much time left in the day. I train a lot. I also work with a lot of people. Like I coach, I do a lot of coaching, a lot of personal training. I got to give a shout out to my personal training clients. Thank you for trusting in me to train you. And I know like a lot of you guys have put your own training on hold just so that I can prepare for this fight. So shout out to you guys. Thanks.
That's awesome. That's awesome that your clients are willing to sacrifice to allow you to continue training and whatnot. Um, what I guess were there any challenges in training camp this camp that maybe hindered or you had to leap over in order to continue training?
It's been a good camp. I think it's been pretty smooth. No real injuries really. But it's been tough because I've had some really high level guys come in for this camp, and black belts in jiu-jitsu, pro fighters in MMA, and it's been tough in that sense. But otherwise, it's been a smooth camp. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, and I'm excited to show my skills on at Cage Wars 36.
Awesome. Is there anyone specific in your personal life that inspires you and kind of molded you to the man you are today?
Yeah, all my training partners, shout out to all my sparring partners. They really motivate me to be who I am. My coaches that I mentioned, all my friends, my girlfriend Michelle, they've really done their part, and I wouldn't be the same without them.
Excellent. Any other sponsors you want to mention before we start to wrap it up?
No more sponsors, but I want to give a shout out to Tim Rankins, and the whole Cage Wars crew. They do a really awesome job. They always take care of us when we're down there, and they always put on the best events.
Yeah, they really do put on a phenomenal show. I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to it. Like we said earlier, the show is sold out, so tickets are gone. Almost 2 weeks ahead of time, tickets are all sold out. But you can watch it on Fight TV app, so download it and then go to it. It's free, so you don't have to pay anything for it. Check it out. They usually do a pretty good job filming the fights as well, so it's always awesome to watch. Um, Last question for you: what is one thing about you that no one knows that you'd like to share?
I'm pretty transparent. I think what you see is what you get. I'm a simple guy, so there's not much to share there.
Awesome.
I
Well,
got a question for you though.
sure.
What's your prediction for this fight?
I think it's gonna go toe to toe, and I'm looking
Pretend
for
I'm
a
not
great
here.
fight.
You can answer truthfully. Pretend I'm not here.
I think it's gonna be a great one. Be honest, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the interview, Kyle.
Thank you. Best of luck, and I'll see you at the fights.
Yeah, I'll see you on April 4th or April 7th. Take care,
Definitely.
Kyle.
Have a good one. Thank you.